Ad-free paid subscriptions on Facebook and Instagram. It's coming. This is not just a tweak, it's a structural change in how audiences can be reached. So during the course of this video, I'm going to explain what's happening here in the UK, what we can learn from the EU rollout, what are the positives and the negatives, what impact these changes are likely to have, and crucially, we will look at what I think are the best 6 strategies we can adopt to turn this new shift into great opportunities. So hi, my name is Matt, and after having built multiple successful profiles across social media platforms for myself and many clients, I now help others to achieve these goals through consulting, coaching, and teaching. Let's start with the facts. So Meta has been forced to make some changes with legislation here in the UK by the OCO, the Information Commissioner's Office, under new regulations from the Digital Markets, Competition and Consumers Act UK. So this act focuses on user privacy and data collection. What this means is a significant shift for Meta, as its main source of income is ad revenue. In response to this, Meta is launching ad-free subscriptions where you can access a completely free ad feed. So the cost for this is $2.99 on the web or $3.99 through iOS or Android. That accounts for to offset the cuts that are being taken by Apple and Google. So it's interesting to note that this is significantly cheaper than the EU version, their counterpart, because it's reported there that Meta was forced to adapt their pricing by the OCO for the UK market. And price isn't the only significant difference between the UK and the EU. So we have a 2-tier system, the consent or pay model, now widely used by media outlets. It basically means that you have 2 choices. 1, pay the monthly subscription and receive an ad-free feed, or consent to your data being used to target users' data. Right? So the EU, that has a 3rd tier, which has been dubbed unskippable ads. So this is where when a user opts out of both paid and consent to tracking. So these users see a feed that is regularly interrupted with generic non-targeted ads that can't be skipped or scrolled past. So you must wait for the allotted time to pass before you can move on. So the Reddit threads are alive with negative comments about this, with one poster stating, "It's the most effective way to get me to stop scrolling and close the app." Meta says its reason for this, it's a way to keep advertisers engaged in a reduced data-driven version of the platform. So for now, we don't have this tier, so it's a straight binary choice, in or out. So what are the likely impacts that this is going to have on us? As mentioned, this is way more than just a tweak. So Meta recently changed their algorithm, and the emphasis has shifted from a connection-based model to an interest-based algorithm, very similar to TikTok's. So over half of the content you now see on your feed comes from unconnected sources, which basically means accounts you don't follow, but you should find interesting. So having been to TikTok HQ in London last week and seeing firsthand the new tools available to TikTok and the user stats, I can fully understand why Meta is adopting this new strategy. So according to their own sources, Facebook has seen an 8% rise in user engagement since it launched. Couple this with the upcoming subscription-based model and you have a lot of changes to navigate. So although none of us can tell the future, we can offer some predictions based on the data available from several key sources. So it's very likely that the addressable audience with ads will shrink. Fewer impressions will mean we will all have to work a little bit harder and deliver a much higher value ratio. There is also concern around user financial value. So you could argue that those with resources who can afford to pay the subscription will do so, thereby taking a valuable audience away from the reach of ads. So fragmentation will also certainly push up the costs and intensify competition. They will need to be more focused on targeting precision, with an overall on how we approach lookalike modeling, measurements, attribution, those kind of things. So testing and modeling scenarios will be important. Prepare for various levels of adoption and extrapolate a strategy from there. Consider various elements of the marketing mix, including distribution across various platforms, organic, user-based, and more. Look to create greater organic visibility, and using that content to inform your paid content appears to have some great positives to it. But it is reliant on creating compelling, watchable content that is often more challenging creative-wise than paid can be, but it can be a good way to find what works with a controlled spend. As of right now, we do not know what the adoption rates will be in the UK. We can look to the EU for guidance, but Meta so far hasn't released official figures. However, industry watchers say the take-up is in the single digits of between 5 and 6%. So this does tie in with similar platforms such as YouTube, although the much lower price point here in the UK might encourage a higher number of people to adopt. We'll have to sort of wait and see on that. As such, we can see, although all these changes are significant, we don't need to completely rewrite the strategy. So we can look to adopt some of the next 6 tips and look at this new structure as a great opportunity and not an obstacle. Number 1, double down on your organic content, community building, and content-led growth. So evolve your creative strategy and focus on share-worthy, engaging content that people want to watch and participate with. Got lots of resources available for that, which I've had great success with my clients with. Number 2, refine your marketing. Track and monitor signs of free adoption through any available tools such as CPMs, reach, comments, shares. Find as many ways as possible to measure metrics both on and off the platform to start to build your own data banks. So number 3 then, diversify the marketing mix. Test budgets on other platforms like TikTok or produce content across platforms. So for Facebook and Insta, focus in on value, not volume. Prioritize the high intent audiences that Meta suggests will come from the change and look to target them. Number 4, test different creatives vigorously. With costs almost certainly rising, consistent testing will help to maintain performance and lead to a more streamlined approach to your budgets. Number 5, model multiple adoption formats. So test what your marketing models will look like at 5% adoption, 10%, 20%. How will each of these numbers affect how you approach your spend on the platform, and what things would you need to change? And number 6, position your business as customer trust focused. So we can use this to our advantage by positioning ourselves in the right way, where we show a culture of consent and ethical data use in our branding and our messaging. So we want to reach the right audience in the right way. So we as marketeers, business owners and entrepreneurs should look at this as an opportunity. It's to not only speak to a more engaged audience, but a way to expand our creative knowledge and how we communicate with our audiences. So if you found this helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell notification for future uploads, and we'll see you on the next video.